Welcome back to the Springfield University Film Society. This is part 2 of our epic 2-part series on the James Cameron 20th Century Fox, a division of the Walt Disney Company, epic film Avatar. So if you haven't listened to part 1 of this 2-part adventure, stop your player now and find that episode. Okay, you've been warned. So real fast, because we have so much to talk about tonight, let's check in with our society members coming to us from deep in the wilderness of our country of origin. Our historian, Andy Brown. Andy, how are you doing?
Hey, fellas. I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to pick this movie back up and talk about the feelings and the emotions that this movie stirred up in all of us.
Great. All the way down in the land where alligators play, our wild card, because we never know what he's going to think of next, Michael Crawford. Michael, how are you doing?
Fired up, ready to go. If there's one thing better than one Avatar podcast, it's 2 Avatar podcasts.
That
I am psyched.
is true. And last, our founder who is sheltering in the land of Carl Slagle, Jeff Crawford. Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. I got to say, there's a fog across the hills here, and I really feel like I'm in the Hallelujah Mountains. So let's do this.
The famous Hallelujah Mountains of Pandora?
The very same. Let's go.
You should see your faces right now.
And I, of course, am your host, Robert McSwain, broadcasting from the Queen City. Jeff?
Cincinnati?
Nope, the other one.
Oh, burn.
Oh, okay.
Jeff, for our listeners who are on the edge of their seats waiting for our stunning conclusion, let's give a brief rundown of what happened so far.
The year is 2154. We're in the future, boys. And hard-boiled Jake Sully, ex-Marine, down on his luck, but gets offered a very large amount of money to use his wonderful empty cup brain to join with the Avatar program on the moon Pandora. There he meets even harder boiled the Colonel, and he experiences the, dare I say, magical race, the Na'vi, who are one with nature in a way that is quite scientifically biologic. So they are being researched by the scientists of the Avatar program, also being researched by the military wing of the Avatar whatever mining program Inc., who are looking for unobtainium, quite the valuable mineral, which is all over Pandora. During his exploits, Jake gets lost on Pandora, joins the Na'vi tribe, learns their ways through the beautiful Neytiri, who becomes his partner in a quite graphic scene of intimacy in the Tree of Souls. Then all hell breaks loose as the mining interest takes their sights upon Home Tree and proceeds to destroy it. We drop in on Act 3. Their home tree, has been destroyed, and all seems lost as they unplug their avatars of Grace, played by Sigourney Weaver, and Jake Sully. We see Norm, the geeky yet knowledgeable scientist, member of the Avatar program, punch out somebody, and they are all brought into detention, by which I mean a jail cell.
My home tree in ruins.
The man. Am I right?
The man came down hard.
It did.
Coffee cup and all.
Coffee cup and all.
I wish I could say we had seen the end of the Colonel, but we have much more to go, gentlemen.
Yeah,
it's time to begin Act 3. Like I said, Jake, Norm, and Grace are all locked up. But Trudy, a helicopter pilot, comes in delivering food and breaks them out with Max, the other doctor.
It seemed pretty easy to get them out of there. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you think there'd be slight, helicopter pilot / food deliverer? I don't know.
Yeah. I thought this was a setup at first because it was way too easy to get out. But they just kind of jam on out of there.
yeah, and there's no guards beyond the one pushover. I mean,
I wrote that they then ran through the countdown to extinction queue and get into a helicopter.
Man, you are not joking. That is totally what it is. Picked up some ketchup and some mustard.
That's right.
Thanks to a generous grant. Unobtainium thanks to a generous grant from McDonald's.
Here we go. The colonel sees them breaking out because he is the only security. He grabs a gun, goes into the hangar, starts shooting at the helicopter in the toxic air. What?
Yeah, he just ran. He doesn't care. He just takes a big old breath and runs out shooting.
He does not
He
care.
hates that helicopter.
He does.
doesn't he pull out a sidearm and like finish it off? I mean, just
Yeah, he empties the clip on the rifle and just pulls out the sidearm and does that. He only missed the opportunity to like throw the empty sidearm at the helicopter.
That was definitely
that classic move.
That would have been good.
This will stop him.
After being out in the air for way too long, one of his minions brings out a mask and he dramatically takes a breath in his mask. But unfortunately, Grace has been hit. This'll ruin her day, she says.
Gutshot Grace.
So they're picking up the mobile lab that they have been in, and they are moving it even higher and further away so that they may not be found. That flux vortex, man, I tell you.
It gets you every time, man. It's like the Bermuda Triangle of Pandora.
That's right. That's exactly right. So much flux, they can't even tell where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So Jake takes Grace to the Tree of Souls to try and heal her. But, to face them again, he was going to have to, as he said, take it to a whole new level.
It's good. Sounds just like Jake.
I just love that in order to get Grace like to the Tree of Life or whatever, they decided to dress her up like Poison Ivy from Batman for some reason. They got like little CG like CG privacy vine around her business.
To get there, Jake mounts a Leoniptrix, which is called Torak. Evidently, his whole life has been leading up to this. Yeah, what's the deal with that, Robert? How does he get on that?
So he hops on his Banshee and he goes flying through the air and he comes up with this brilliant idea and he thinks that Torak is the baddest mamma jamma in the air. He never looks up. And he hops off his Banshee and lands on top of him. And
He like full Anakin Skywalker jumps.
Yeah.
He just jumps out. I hate it when he does that.
Leap before you look.
He makes the bond
Carbon fiber,
immediately.
man.
Sorry, master.
So that makes him the sixth first Navi.
Since the grandfather.
Yeah. To mount one of these things. It blows the minds of the Navi, and that's enough for Neytiri. She says she's not afraid anymore. So I mean
it's not a bad,
sure.
It's a show up at the party on your giant like dinosaur bird. I mean, that's a pretty good mic drop moment.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like showing up to a party with a Bigfoot monster truck or something like that in the 80s.
It shuts everybody up.
It shuts everybody up. They know you mean business when you show up with one of those.
Even Sute, the Johnny of the tribe, is the Kokom. Yeah. He's now the chief, and he is accepting Jake back. So, yes, now they try to save Grace by moving her soul passing through to the Eye of Awa in her Poison Ivy costume.
Yeah. She's doing a little cosplaying. It's nice.
Yeah.
A little modesty vine.
She, unfortunately, she's just too injured and does not survive, but not before she comes back to say she is with Awa and she is real. She's real.
Put a pin on that because we've got sequels coming.
What was the line? I can't remember what the medicine woman. The wounds were too great, or something. It was real kind of
Yes.
kind of a
She is so
weak explanation.
Some medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some medicine.
Some great job, Awa.
So Jake proceeds to speak with the Na'vi, and he charges the tribe to go find all the other clans and get them to come. It was a rousing speech, guys.
Mm-hmm.
He really, yeah. We ride, we fly. So we see a montage of Jake overseeing clans arriving and cut to the colonel's briefing. So it's real showdown time. You know?
Yeah, finally things are moving.
Yeah, and 2,000 Na'vi. Now at the Trees of Souls and more expected. 2,000.
I kind of like this though because you get to see that they're the horse people and they're the water
Yes,
people,
The water people.
and
yeah.
they're all kinds of Na'vi.
You have the tree people.
Yeah,
The former tree people.
former tree,
The
birch tree
Wookiees.
people. Yeah,
Um,
into hiding I must go.
I feel bad for the horse people though, because as we've discussed, those horses are really problematic. But
Yeah,
Jake heads to the Tree of Souls to ask for help. So Jake is really drinking the Kool-Aid now. He's saying, if you can see into my head, you can see that the sky people destroyed our planet. There's no blue anywhere. And Neytiri explains to him that Awa does not take sides. Sorry, didn't go down like that.
yeah. He tries to call in Awa to help, like drop the bomb, and Awa's like, "No."
Push the button.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, so far Awa hadn't done much, has she?
Where's your God
Yeah,
now?
or whatever.
where's your Messiah now? See,
So it's really happening. We're launching from headquarters, all kinds of helicopters. I'm sorry, scorpions and giants. The giant space shuttle bomber thing is going.
yeah, they totally swiped the GI Joe space shuttle for this.
Yeah. G.I. Joe space shuttle. We got the Transformer bodysuits coming out, which are really weird and don't make any sense to me. First offensive is a group of dire horses making a charge, and you know my feelings about dire horses.
Are they going in slow motion? I can't remember.
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, probably. I mean, yeah, that's coming soon.
Okay.
But I'd like to point out that they have communicators all of a sudden. Like they're like talking.
Yeah, that was weird. I noticed
Yeah.
that too.
Praise be to Iowa.
She
They're
has
like these
provided.
vine communicators.
She provides technology.
They got these little like necklaces that are like push to talk,
Yeah.
Bluetooth. Get it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
nice. That was good.
yes.
That was really good.
Cut off the pod right now.
Yep, drop the mic. Yeah, that was it. We're done.
Yeah, then the banshees go next, and so the bows from the Na'vi couldn't break glass from below, and they were the laughing stock, but from above they are like wasting people.
Yeah, I thought about this too. Because before, when they were nuking the home tree, everybody's like laughing at them when they're trying to shoot with the air bows and arrows. But now they're coming down hard.
Trudy shows up and shoots at the colonel. She's got her face paint on, her blue face paint. She has painted her scorpion helicopter.
And I love she took the time for a little showmanship. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, she's a little bit of a Braveheart there.
Oh yeah, totally.
Now, she shoots the glass out of the cockpit, correct?
Correct.
And what does that doesn't get him, right?
Yeah, this is shenanigans to me that this doesn't at least hurt. It doesn't take them out because it really should.
Yeah. So, we're starting to figure out that the colonel is kind of a Rasputin character. He just is not going to die easily. unfortunately, Neytiri's banshee dies, and people are starting to get wasted. We go into a slow motion destruction montage.
Yeah. They do the thing where like everybody's kind of they get the jump on them, so everybody's kind of kicking butt at first, and then it just like the guns overwhelm them, and then suddenly it's slow mo, and you know that's not good.
Sute gets wasted, Norm gets wasted, Trudy gets wasted, Dire Horse is on fire, running through the wilderness.
Yeah, that was a shot. Poignant.
Yes, think about it, and it's like, ah. Not good.
It's all falling apart, man.
Neytiri is surrounded by approaching transformers and flamethrowers, and then a herd of hammerhead titanotheres show up and take care of a lot of them. And Neytiri is claiming via her communicator that Awa has heard Jake.
Yep. It was mad.
Yeah. A ton of a ton of unclaimed banshees show up and start just throwing those scorpion copters. Thanators, the lion things, they're taking care of people. So nature and Awa are fighting back here, guys.
Did you know that the Thanator was originally called the Manticore? And this was the only design where James Cameron did not have a complete vision in his head. Idiot. Designing this animal took months and hundreds of illustrations. The name was changed to Thanator. And James Cameron himself took on the final design late in production.
Well, let me get this
Crazy.
straight. He spent 10 years making this movie, and he couldn't come up with that character.
It seems like that character was kind of important as far as the animals are concerned.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. Something like a lion. I don't know. I don't
Whatever.
have time for this.
I forget it. I'm taking over.
Yeah, he had to call in some guy named Neville Page who fleshed out the design and built it as a ZBrush model. I mean, come on.
Neville.
think we should call it a Thanator, sir. It'd be a better name.
Mr. Cameron.
There's trouble down yonder, Mr. Cameron.
There's trouble down
Palm
mill
tree.
with the manticore.
So,
This is fun though. This is fun when Awa starts throwing down.
no, yeah, I'm all on board with the creatures fighting back.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny when right before this started, when she was down in the jungle and they were closing in, I thought, why didn't they get the hammerhead dinosaur things from earlier? Why didn't they like stampede them like on purpose or something like that? But then they showed up on their own. Awa took care
Awa
of it.
heard you.
Yeah.
Awa heard me, the viewer.
So Jake lands on the G.I. Joe space shuttle and drops grenades in the air intakes and takes that mother down, as all the ordnance and all are still in that thing. So
Isn't there a scene here where a pallet of napalm squishes a Marine?
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, that's yeah.
They've got like their big pallet of like C4 that they're going to drop on the happy tree. And doesn't Kocoum get in there and he like tears things up a little bit, but then they kill him
before he
and then the thing kind of lurches forward and the thing squishes Marine. That was fun.
So he sets out to do the same to the Colonel's ship, but the Colonel grabs the joystick and moves the plane at the last minute. He comes out into the air again to shoot Jake, shoots him, but Jake throws a missile into the propeller. The Colonel is on fire, pats it off, and jumps into a transformer suit. And Jake falls down the leaves like he was taught by Neytiri.
Say, good thing he learned that earlier. It seemed kind of pointless at the time, but
Right.
I think he learned that from Disney's Tarzan. Because it was more of that kind of a move.
Yeah.
Surfing down the trees, the endless trees. The throwing the missile is funny.
I like that. Yeah, that really cracked me up.
Because I thought they were going to pull the gag where like he's hanging from the missile. So I thought they were going to try and like shoot the missile while he was hanging from it. Because that's a good gag. But then he just takes it and chucks it in the engine.
The Colonel's really getting to me at this point. I mean, he got to me the whole time, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah, because the thing kind of goes off in his face, and then he's on fire for a long time.
Yeah. And then, he jumps out in his like bodysuit jumps out of a burning, falling plane just in time, falls in like right in front of it, and it explodes behind him.
Yeah.
So Neytiri is now riding on a Thanator, Mactar, or whatever it was. And she comes across the Colonel, and now they get into it. And this is where I just...
Are those things hot swappable unlike the Banshees?
I guess.
Must be.
Yeah.
Is that Bluetooth?
Okay.
Did you know in the final battle sequence that Neytiri has a white handprint on her chest as part of her war paint? It actually had, but if you look closely, it has 5 fingers. And as I said in the last episode, the avatars have 5 fingers, and the Na'vi only have 4, so that you know that that's probably Jake's hand that did that.
Well, I certainly hope
Fresh.
so.
Yeah. No one else better be.
Could have been Norm.
Could have been Norm.
Has a 5-fingered handprint on her left buttock.
I can do your paint for the battle.
Yeah.
Jake said I should come over and do this.
I got a cool idea for his war paint.
Everybody will think it's from you, though.
Oh man! So Neytiri versus the
This is the
Colonel in
ultimate
this-
scene of this movie.
Oh yeah.
They're fighting, and then she kind of has a leg up on him, and he brandishes a giant blade and says, "Come to Papa."
I love how he just pulls out his giant Transformer sword. It's like Voltron.
Yeah.
So they have the guns that, that's one thing we should say. And in these suits, they have giant guns in front, but in the suit, they're just like virtually holding a gun, like no like physical thing. They're just holding their hands.
Yeah.
I feel like that wouldn't work.
The whole system seems really impractical to me. Of like, because you're basically like playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots, but just like, it's like a Wii controller in your cockpit. And you're just like swinging your hands around to have like a robot fight.
Maybe that's what inspired Cameron, was the Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Maybe
There's
so.
something to this, guys. Hold on. Yeah. So the giant Transformer sword kills the Thanator, and the Colonel twists the knife. Neytiri's not doing too good. Then Jake shows up, and he stabs the Colonel's Transformer in the glass, also stabs him, and he is still holding his breath in the toxic air. It's like, why are we even doing the toxic air thing at this point if we're going to break it so many times with this dude?
He just blows off the cockpit. He doesn't care. He pulls the switch, blows it out. Doesn't care.
Colonel don't care.
He must be a diver, He could be,
Like a pearl diver.
He's a pro.
I do like how all the Na'vi props are supersized when they are like on a person. Like the arrows are like telephone poles when they like come into the cockpit or whatever, and then like the dagger's super big too. That's pretty fun.
So what I'm saying this whole time, why wouldn't you do this? Finally, they do, where the Colonel slams a hole in the lab. So that means, they're right at the lab where Jake is in real life and his avatar's outside. So that would be a smart thing to do. Jake stabs him again. Still didn't die. Air is getting toxic in the lab. The Colonel grabs Jake's avatar by the ponytail. The Colonel grabs the knife that Jake stabbed him with. And then, finally, mercifully, Neytiri shoots him twice with giant poisoned bows. Or arrows.
Wow.
Takes a lot.
Wait.
Still back for the sequel though.
Well, Stephen Lang, he hinted that the Colonel would be back. And he said, you think those 2 arrows in my chest are going to stop me from coming back? Nothing's over as long as I've got my DNA.
Interesting.
Was he acting in this movie, or did he think this was like a documentary and they just brought in this guy?
Jake is now in trouble because, the Colonel broke the glass. He gets out of the simulator, wrestles to get an air mask, but he can't because well, he can't. Neytiri runs into the lab, finds human Jake, and puts the air mask on for a very poignant scene, gentlemen. I see you.
It'd be weird, like the first time like she sees him as a human. That'd be like, oh.
It's kind of just a weird. Yeah, again, the scale is like bizarre, and I mean, it's pretty neat. Like
it's like reverse Shrek.
Yep. Yeah, it is fun. She has to kind of squeeze into the trailer, and she's all big. They do the sort of Pieta Jake Sully.
Yeah.
That would have been good if they had showed her getting stuck. Oh, that has been kind of funny. You know, her trying to get around inside.
No.
Like the arms come out the windows, like Alice in Wonderland.
The end.
And he dies because she's too big.
Oh, well. To be continued.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, even though he was really struggling, Neytiri has saved him, and all of a sudden we cut to a bunch of people leaving the planet. Old Parker leaving. Turok Mato no longer needed. So the last video log of Jake, we see that he is trying to actually become a Navi. So he's going to try to do the Sigourney, the Grace, when the wounds are not too great. Is he going to make it? We are brought back to the Tree of Souls. Will it work? I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, I guess they won.
Yeah, it happened quick, apparently. Everybody just gave up. After Colonel died, everybody's like, oh, we don't really care.
Unobtainium is unobtainable. So, yeah, will it work? We close in on Jake's face. His eyes open. It worked! Avatar! And then we have, the name.
Circle of Life.
Yes, as Michael has pointed out. We have the Lion King treatment where it says Avatar, and then a moment for the closing credit music.
Yeah, and they've got like the it is like the mid-90s like Disney pop closing credits song. Every 90s movie, not just Disney.
Yeah, in the Disney realm, it is also like Animal Kingdom combined with Tapestry of Nations, Epcot, all at once. So we made it. That is Avatar. Whew. I knew because I saw the name of the movie right after it ended.
I'd forgotten.
That's always good when, it's nice to have a reminder.
I was disappointed. I watched the whole closing credits for the hysterical outtakes, and they weren't there.
Or the Marvel scene where they set up part 2.
Yeah.
Where Samuel L. Jackson shows up. I got a mission for you. Back on Earth
That
this
would
time.
be incredible.
What happened here was a miracle.
Cat men, Thanatars, all sorts of things the world has never seen.
Colonel, you are under arrest. Sorry, that was a...
Cuts to the colonel in his jail cell, and somebody comes in with like a proposition, and he looks at the camera and smiles. He's like, oh, what's happening next?
He's like, good thing I took this poison bow antidote right before I went on the mission.
Good thing poison air is the antidote to poison arrow.
Who knew? Well, you've heard what we thought. Let's find out what Roger Ebert thought. Andy, what did our guy Roger say about Avatar?
So, Roger Ebert, the the wonderful film critic, gave this movie a 4-star review. Can you guys believe that?
Really?
Yes.
He did.
Oh
He
my.
gave it 4 stars. He says, Cameron promised he'd unveil the next generation of 3D and Avatar. I'm a notorious skeptic about this process and a needless distraction from the perfect realism of movies in 2D, but Cameron's iteration is the best I've seen. And he goes on and on talking about 3D, but then he says, because I don't know if you guys remember, James Cameron declared himself the king of the world at the Oscar thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Roger Ebert says, it takes a hell of a lot of nerve for a man to stand up at the Oscar cast and proclaim himself king of the world. Well, James Cameron just got reelected. So...
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
To which I say, how dare you use the term the next generation in this review, sir?
Indeed.
Agreed.
I think Ebert was probably only in it for the ponytail scene.
Yeah.
I think that at least got a 1.5 added to his score, knowing Ebert.
Yeah.
Well,
You, sir, are king of the world.
It stinks. Sorry.
it's time for our podcast to apply our traditional 20th Century Fox, a division of the Walt Disney Company, rating system. For the first time listeners, Jeff, can you explain the rating system to us?
Yes, we rate on a system from 1 to 5, and instead of stars, we find that a little bit blasé. We decide to use the rubric billions of dollars because, we're dealing with real hits here.
No scrubs.
Let's dive right into it. Let's talk about the plot and writing. And I'm going to start with Michael. Michael, how many billions of dollars would you give the plot and writing in this movie?
I mean, gosh. I loved it when it was Pocahontas. I loved it when it was Ferngully. I loved it when it was Dances with Wolves. Let's go ahead and give the plot and writing maybe about a 2. Yeah.
2 it is.
$2 billion.
$2 billion worth of writing. Andy, how many billions of dollars do you give the plot and writing?
I agree with everything Michael just said. $2 billion.
Jeff?
I was thinking the same. $2 billion. I like the Navi world and all of its explanation is pretty good. But man, I want to give it a 1 for the for those lines that I pointed out. But 2. I will stay with 2.
We're all in agreement then. It's not bad enough to be a 1, but there's some bad writing in here. So I can't quite go to a 3. So 2 for me as well. Casting. We'll start with Jeff on casting.
I'm going to say, that is interesting.
Because we see a lot of the same, we see one of the same characters, actors, that Mr. Cameron likes to use over and over again in this one with Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver. I think I'm just going to give it a 3, meaning neither here nor there.
I'm going to go with a 3 as well, and I kind of hinted at it there because I like Sigourney, and I think she's the bright spot. I think, and then Zoe. Who played
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, I liked her. As far as
yeah, she did great.
So yeah, 3 for me. Not over the top, not bad though. Andy.
Yeah, you guys cover everything I was going to say. I'm going to go with the $3 billion for casting.
At least. All right, Michael. What you got?
$3 billion for the same reasons. Sigourney's. I'll watch Sigourney do anything, and Zoe Saldana was really good too. But then you've got other factors kind of bring it down. So $3 billion.
What did you guys think of Giovanni Ribisi though? His character and the way he played that.
We're gonna have to get to that with acting, right?
Oh yeah, sorry, I always forget there's that other category.
All right, acting. Well, let's go right into it then. Andy, tell us about it.
Well, there's parts I thought were really like Zoe. I thought knocked it out of the park. I thought she did excellent. I thought as there were some really poor lines for the Colonel. But I don't know. I just enjoyed. He was a fun He was a fun villain. I thought Giovanni Ribisi, as long as his character, he was not likable, and I think he played that really well. I don't know. It's tough to draw that line between the bad writing and the casting and the acting and all. So I'm just going to go for the middle of the road. But yeah, I mean, there were some highlights, I thought.
All right. I'm going to jump in there. I'm going to say kind of the same thing. I think Sam Worthington was kind of a low point, but I mean, I kind of looked at it that they're acting with this technology that no one's ever used before. The face capture stuff, and I mean, that's got to be difficult to do. And Zoe did it extremely well. But I'm probably, I mean, I almost went to a 4, but I'm going to stick with a 3. Jeff.
Agreed. Same. I think Zoe Saldana really, really, really did well. But overall, I think the acting didn't really move the acting wasn't why you went to see this movie.
Right.
It didn't factor in as much as other things.
And our wild card, Michael.
I'll say 3 as well. It's like the characters were in different movies. Like, and it's hard to separate this from the writing because, like, as we've all praised Zoe Saldana, she, I think, acquitted herself the best by far. But she's in a totally different movie from like the Colonel and Ribisi. Like, they're playing like stock characters, like turned up to 11, and it's just like they're in totally different movies. So it's hard to say, it wasn't like they were playing it badly. They were written that way and directed that way. So, I mean, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's weird. $3 billion.
All right. Next up, production value. This is going to be an interesting one here. And I think we'll start with Andy on production value. I want to hear what Andy
$5 billion.
$5 billion on production value.
I think you have to. I mean, just because it was such a technical feat, and I mean, there's everything about it. It was just, I mean, we were talking about last time. This movie still holds up really well visually. So yeah, $5 billion.
All right, Jeff.
I agree, $5 billion. And I thought the music was good. It kind of blended in, but the thing, the design of the world, the visuals of the world. I remember I went to see this movie twice because of this, and I took some musician friends the second time, and one of my musician friends was like, man, I'm not going to see movies anymore, man, because when it gets better than real life, man, you just got to stop. You just got to stop going, man.
That's deep. That's real deep.
More real than real.
Michael?
Yeah, it's got to be 5. It's just bonkers production value.
Yeah, I got to go with 5 too. I mean, I think I got kind of lost because I'm watching it on a regular old TV, and it's not in 3D, so you lose so much of, I think, what made this a spectacle and made it so amazing. And I kind of got, I guess, spoiled because I was watching it kind of, grumping about it a little bit, but I had to keep reminding myself that this was really something to see on the big screen. That's where you have to see it, I think, to really appreciate it. But you still got to give it a 5, yeah. And last, this one is going to be interesting because we've given this middle of the road scores to low scores all the way up to this point, and then we've given us straight 5s for production value, but entertainment value. How entertained were you at the end of this movie? We will start with Jeff.
I'm going to say 4. I was very entertained by the things I didn't like and the things I liked. If it wasn't so long, I would have given it a 5, even with its flaws. But it's too long. I found the bad stuff really funny. And then I liked all the visual stuff. And, I think production value will always kind of sway my vote on this. But so I'll say 4.
All right, Michael?
This is tough. I would say between a 3 and a 4. For all the reasons Jeff said. And again, before he said it, I was thinking if it was just shorter, like I feel like it benefits because the most entertaining stuff is towards the end, like with like the rebellion and like with Awok coming in to bust heads. Like that's the most entertaining stuff, and it's towards the end. But there's so much to get there, and it's like one of those movies where you think about watching because you may think about the good parts, but then you're like, oh, but I have to go through so much to get there. I'll say a 3, but a high 3.
Andy.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing you guys said. Too long, but there are parts that I really enjoyed. But I think what took the most, I'm going to go with a 3 instead of a 4, simply because I think because how familiar the story was, it was tough to separate that from also what I was watching. It was like, okay, I know this story too much or too well, and it took away from that entertainment value, that value there. So, I'm going to go with $3 billion.
That's a good point.
That's a really good point
because at no point are you surprised by like anything that happens.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 3 as well. I kind of wanted to. I'm with Michael almost all the way. I wanted to go to 4, but it's still a 3 for me. So 3, 4, 3, 3 here on the entertainment value.
So let me. Yeah, I mean that's almost unanimous consensus throughout.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Let me plug this into Professor Frink's computer here and see what Professor Frink can come up with. All right. Professor Frink says that we get a 3.27.
That sounds
overall.
Right. That sounds right.
So just sort of C+.
With high marks for production value. So imagine.
With very high marks.
Without.
Well, we've made a lot of jokes at the expense of Mr. Jim Cameron. I do admit that several of his movies rank high in my all-time list, but I wanted to take some time to discuss his place in our cinema lexicon. Let's begin by going through his top 5 biggest grossing films, according to Box Office Mojo, and give a simple yay or nay to what you think here, guys. So I'm just going to read the top 5. We're going to skip Avatar, which is number 1 because we just talked about it. And so all you got to say is I want to hear a yay or nay for Titanic.
So you're just going to say the word and we just say yay or nay?
So Titanic grossed $2,187,463,944. Did you like it, yay or nay?
I'll say yay.
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 That's how I feel, Andy.
Oh yeah, I mean it's one of those movies. I can't remember who the reviewer was. It said if you can get through the first, half of the movie or even 2/3 of the movie, the last third is worth the price of admission. And that's kind of how I feel about it too. When they kind of get into the historical side of the sinking, and they get away from the love story, then it's a yay. I mean, I've watched it since. Terminator 2 Judgment Day is number 2 on his list. Came out in 1991, grossed $520,884,847. I want to start. That's a big yay for me. I love Terminator Judgment Day. Still do. Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
I believe somewhere on a old Super 8
yes.
home video cassette, we have Jeff and Robert and Brady Washburn discussing Terminator 2.
That's why I laughed
in detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 of us in that video loved that movie.
I think I was arguing for The Lion King being in
Jeff was arguing The Lion King against Terminator 2. But yes, go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry. Yay or nay?
I liked it. Yay. It wasn't change my life, but yeah, I'll give it a yay.
Jeff? Michael?
Is there a third option? I mean, I guess yay, but if there was a middle ground, I would take that.
Yeah, you can go for you can abstain.
I got a meh.
I will yay. For Sarah Connor.
Oh, that's true. I mean, and it was very groundbreaking. Oh, yeah. What am I doing? Yes, yay.
All right, number 3, True Lies, 1994, $378,882,411. I saw this in the theaters in Arkansas with Brady Washburn. So Would break after
The common thread.
It's a common thread of me and him really bonded over Arnie movies. So, I watched it recently, and it was like,
So you're going the third option.
I'm gonna, yeah. I mean, 15-year-old Robert was yay all the way, but I think 40-year-old Robert is more kind of yeah. So I'm sort of in the middle of the road, I think, on True Lies.
Now, I'm going to go with a full-out yay for True Lies, simply for Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, she still holds up really well in that movie. So,
I agree. I'm going big yay.
Wow.
I have a real nostalgia for this movie because I think it's the first movie that me and Michael went and saw in Winston-Salem after we moved there at the new theater.
Oh,
but it was definitely that summer with like The Lion King, The Mask, True Lies. We're all in that.
That was a big summer.
Yes.
Yeah. Of movie going.
And we had a good theater to go to. So yay.
I will say yay, although there are elements that are icky now. But this was like, I am nostalgic for it as well, because this was like really when I started getting into like the behind the scenes of like movie making stuff. And this was such a crazy, crazy production. And I mean, Jim Cameron's so crazy in the stuff that he does, like reading up on it and everything, and like how he did all the insane stuff, all the effects and everything. So I'll go.
Most anything that has Bill Paxton moves me to yay. And he is on fire in this movie.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. He plays the car salesman and
this is one of his finer.
But they also,
I'd forgotten about that.
The practical effect on the bridge, they actually blew up a section of the old Keys Bridge.
Yeah. I mean, all that stuff with the bridge where like he took over and like actually blew all that stuff up for like all that stuff was like practical.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right. The last movie on the top 5. I think I kind of got off earlier. I called it the 3, but technically it was 4. But number 5 is Aliens, 1986, $131,335,326. We will start with Michael.
A big yay on that one, for sure. It's hard to believe that they only made that much money, like these older movies.
Yeah.
Because they were huge blockbusters, but it's a tiny amount today.
Yeah.
But yeah, big yay.
All right, Jeff.
Big yay. Not enough billions of dollars.
So I'm gonna jump in there. It's a huge yay for me. I love this movie, and a funny story. Like my dad rented it in 1986, and and evidently had like nightmares, and like it scared him so bad. And my mom teased him about it all the time. Like, don't watch Aliens. It's super scary. Kept your father up for nights, and so
PTSD from watching Aliens.
So I didn't see it until I think maybe I was like either late in high school or maybe even college. And because I was like, I don't know if I want to see this. It really freaked my dad out. God. But yeah. I mean, it's freaky. It's kind of got some scary moments in it, but I love it. Yeah, Sigourney Weaver is amazing in that movie. All right, Andy, what you got?
I'm going to abstain. I've never seen Aliens all the way through.
Oh, okay.
I've only seen select scenes. Yeah.
Treat yourself.
Oh man.
Well, it's got
Next
the Marine
Medfield podcast, man.
Yeah.
It's got the Marine, the whole Marine theme going on, and then
I mean, I know it's one of those movies where I know a lot about it, but I've never seen it all the way through.
It's got the corporate weasel. It's got the Marines.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite. Well, no, T2. God, I don't know, man.
Don't ever. T2 is unimpeachable, Robert.
It's true. It's on its own level for me. Like it was so because it was like the first like rated R movie I really embraced. And
I need to watch all of these movies again at some point because it's been too long.
It's been a while.
I haven't seen Terminator 2 in
for me.
forever, so I don't really know what to. Yeah,
you were a big Guns N' Roses fan at the time.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
But what was that actor's name? What was the kid's name? Eddie
Furlong. Yeah,
Jeremy.
Yeah, but see, like all the girls in my class all were like going crazy over him, and so I just didn't like him.
Yeah. There was that factor. But then he wound up like falling on hard times. So he won that one.
He was good in Pecker. I like that movie.
Funny Eddie story here. My sister goes to New York City with the orchestra in her senior year, maybe. It had to have been her because it had been after T2 come out, and he was like a really big deal. and they were on a street corner, and he was on the street of New York, and like kept following the high school girls around in their group and like trying to get noticed. She said it was real.
Wow.
It was real pathetic. she said everyone was like, "Hey, look, there's Eddie Furlow." I was like, "Why does he keep following our group around?" Because he was trying to get like a mob of girls to chase him and like and fawn over him, and nobody was biting.
Hey, Eddie, you need something?
What's this weird guy following us around for? So, poor Eddie. All right, so we're going to continue. I got one more little exercise I want to do here for James Cameron. We're going to continue to follow the money here, and we're going to look at the top 5 all-time grossing film directors. And we're going to change the scale this time. The scale is this director better than Jim? Is this director worse than Jim? And is this director get out of here? Which means the director is far, far way better than Jim Cameron. So the overall top grossing director of all time is Steven Spielberg with over $10.5 billion grossed. Is he better than, worse than, or get out of here than Jim Cameron? We'll start with Jeff.
I might get out of here, Steven Spielberg, but I'll say better than Jim.
All right, Andy.
Get out of here. Spielberg is the man.
Spielberg is the man.
Michael.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Gotta go with Spielberg.
I'm way get out of here on Spielberg too.
Although it's hard with Spielberg because he's made so many more movies, so he's made ones that are worse than Cameron.
That's what made
he's
me
made some
pause.
clunkers.
Yes.
Yeah, he's made some big clunkers, but he's made some really like some timeless, like moving, emotionally gripping movies that, I mean, none of Cameron's movies like grab me emotionally like Spielberg stuff does.
No.
I mean,
What about not even Piranha 2?
not even Piranha 2. I mean, so. All right, number 2, the Russo brothers of Marvel fame. They have just over almost $7 billion earned. Better than, worse than, or get out of here?
I would say worse than, just because I don't feel like they've shown a distinct vision. I mean, they're just part of that Marvel machine. I feel, and I really love those movies, but it's not like it's a real director-driven kind of deal.
Agreed. Same.
Andy, you
I'm
love
torn
those
on
movies.
this one.
You love those
I
movies.
love those movies. Yeah. Okay. I'm going opposite. I'm gonna say they're not like what's the term? Get out of here. I think I think they're better than Jim.
I'm going with Michael. I'm going to say they're worse than Jim just because I think they were plugging into a machine. Yeah, I mean it was.
I mean, I think they've got potential. We could still see what they do. I just don't think we've seen yet them prove themselves as like you see a Jim Cameron movie, you know it's a Jim Cameron movie. Like I've never watched anything and been like, oh, that is so Russo brothers, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
But they did like the best of the Marvel movies. They did Winter Soldier, which is the best Marvel movie. They made it a movie that's not even you don't even you forget that it's a superhero movie. That movie stands alone by itself. That could be just some political thriller. They did the Infinity War, Endgame. Those, I mean, you're already at least up to half of what Jim Cameron's done. And they've done it in they've only did that in 3 years?
Yeah, it's crazy. And Civil War too, which I love.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's hard to say because I do love those movies.
Yeah. And they also did you, Me, and Dupree.
Well, okay, get out of here.
I forgot about that one. Get out of here.
Wow. With Owen Wilson.
All right, moving on here. Number 3 on the list is Peter Jackson with just over $6.5 billion. We're going to go with Jeff. You're a Tolkien guy. What do you got there?
I hate to say it, but worse than Jim. And Peter Jackson, I love a lot of the things he does. And I think him and I share a lot of similar interests. I mean, but he does things that drive me crazy. And a lot of that is exhibited in the King Kong movie. Like stroby orc effect in the Tolkien stuff, the slow-mo hugs. Worse than
eating those juicy tomatoes.
All right, Andy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I agree. Peter Jackson, as much as I love some of the things he has done, I'm gonna have to say he's worse than.
All right, Michael.
Yeah, worse. Like I love Lord of the Rings, but like when he's left his own devices, he goes totally haywire.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with worse, too. I've only seen one of the Lord of the Rings movies. And,
What?
Yeah.
What?
And
Well, I haven't seen all the
That's-
Avengers movies, so
and I have I've seen King Kong. So that's my only thing I've
King
seen
Kong is
of
rough.
Peter Jackson. And yeah.
I remember being so excited about King Kong.
Yeah.
All right, the next guy. I think this is going to be unanimous pan. I think Jim's going to run away with this one. So Michael Bay is number 4.
For real?
Yes, with $6 billion.
Get out of
I
here.
jokingly want to say, I want to say get out of here, but
The other direction.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
The other direction.
Yeah,
Simply because of how he butchered Transformers. Just simply for that alone.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
Please.
there's no.
Please
yeah.
get out of here.
Yeah, it's get out
Global.
of here on the other side of the spectrum, definitely. And then bringing up the rear of the top 5 is our man Jim.
He's better than Jim. Oh, sorry.
Michael Bay, as far as box office is concerned, is better than Jim.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so the question here is Jim 2009 better than Jim 1997? Would you take 97 Jim over 2009 Jim? Because there's really that's the gap between he produced a few movies in there, but he only directed Titanic, and then he did a couple of documentaries when he was deep sea diving, and then he did Avatar.
Yeah.
I take older Jim. I mean, farther back in time Jim, because he's hungrier and less self-indulgent, I feel like.
Yeah,
I agree with that because it's
I
like
might definitely.
you shouldn't take that if this is your thing and you're the king of the world. You shouldn't be taking that long to make a movie. I mean, I'm all about people having personal lives, but that is a long time.
Yeah, and
I agree.
I've read that he's the only director in Hollywood that sets his own schedule. Like nobody calls him and tells him to go make a movie. He only does it when he's ready. And then you hear all these stories. I mean, I don't want to go too deep into the woods, but he like on when they were making Titanic, he made everybody miserable.
Oh yeah,
And like
he's
they
super.
they spiked
jerk.
his food with LSD one night.
Oh gosh.
Some of the
Oh no!
yeah, like they dumped a bunch of LSD into like some shrimp cocktails or something.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, I forgot
That
about
should
that.
never happened to you?
I had totally forgotten about that.
And he ran over, like people started tripping, going something's in that, and then he ran over to the garbage can and made himself get it out. And
One with AWA.
but yeah, people were really just sick of dealing with him on that set. He was just a monster. But so I think we can all agree that Jim is pretty creative. I mean, I think Pandora is pretty amazing as far as visually. I mean, coming up with a whole universe. Maybe his story structure is a little off-putting. Maybe his movies run a little long. I loved Avatar for how rich and breathtaking Pandora was as an alien planet. If there only was a company that specialized in creating immersive themed attractions and lands, if only. I stay awake at night wishing that. Has anyone ever heard of a company that did that? Michael, have you ever heard of a company that would try to tackle a project like
That company is called Cedar Fair.
They have a
It's
really?
at Paramount Parks, baby.
The killer
Borg
coaster.
assimilator.
Oh man.
Top Gun.
Well, good night, everybody. It's been great. Well, of course, we're talking about the world of Avatar at Disney World.
Yeah. In 2011, Disney shocked the world, literally shocked the entire theme park industry, including a lot of people who worked at Disney, by announcing that they had licensed Avatar to create a theme park land at Disney's Animal Kingdom. And development of this began in early 2011 when Tom Staggs, who was the chief operating officer at the time and thought he was heir apparent to the company, apparently claims to have thought this up while he was hanging out in Cars Land at California Adventure and thought we should get Avatar to make a theme park land. And so they approached Jim Cameron, who was kind of surprised but super psyched. And in September 2011, they announced it. And like I said, surprised everybody. Construction began in January of 2014. And the land opened in May of 2017. Now, to put this together, Joe Rohde, who is the creative executive behind everything at Animal Kingdom, originally there was a back and forth about whether this was going to go into Hollywood Studios or into Animal Kingdom. And so there was a bit of back and forth about that, but they wound up putting it in Animal Kingdom. So Joe Rohde wound up working really closely with Cameron, who, as we've talking about the movies, is super, super detail oriented, like totally OCD about every aspect of these worlds that he creates. And so he had all this material like ready to go about all the animals and the plants and this and that. John Landau, who was the producer of Avatar, also worked closely with Disney, and Lightstorm, which is Jim Cameron's company, worked closely with Imagineering on creating this land.
Lightstorm
Entertainment. The land was dedicated on May 24th, 2017, with executives from Disney and Fox, and cast members Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, and Sigourney Weaver at the dedication. And then it opened 3 days later. So what this is a land at Animal Kingdom, the former site of, what is it? Camp Mini Mickey.
Yeah, Camp
Mini Mickey. And it's a 12-acre land called the Valley of Moara.
No, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. It's set a generation after the war ended, the war that we see in the movie. And it moves past, the idea was we're moving past action and conflict, and nature is coming back. All the RDA buildings are being reclaimed by the jungles, and roots are growing through everything. And so it's been taken over by two groups. One is Alpha Centauri Expeditions, or ACE, and they are the ones who are basically the tour guides to Pandora that are bringing you there. And then there's a group called the Pandora Conservation Initiative, who is kind of the descendants of the scientists we see in the movie, who are studying the Pandora wildlife and are helping bring back the ecosystem that the bad guys tore up. So the idea is you're an eco-tourist and you're there with the Alpha Centauri Expeditions and to experience the wildlife and power of Pandora. So they leaned heavily into creating like a real ecosystem with lots of interactive stuff, heavily into the technologies. They did the Hallelujah Mountains. I don't know if they're the same Hallelujah Mountains, but they're similar.
You mean the famous Hallelujah Mountains?
The famous Hallelujah Mountains of Pandora, which at Animal Kingdom are 156 foot tall floating mountains, and they're hidden. I mean, they have hidden steel supports that kind of hold them up, and they use force perspective to make them appear huge and looming in the distance. A lot of bioluminescent plants. They really worked hard on making it come alive at night with sort of triggered effects that make it seem like animals are in the bushes triggering the bioluminescence, and a lot of sound effects. They worked really hard on the soundscape of making it sound, this is the camera thing again of, these animals are over here, these animals are over here, and there's a reason why these animals you hear over here are separate from these other animals, and then they react to each other, and like it's all super detailed. So there's a lot of attention to that. The area features music composed by James Horner and Simon Franklin, based on the score of Avatar, and it has two attractions: Flight of Passage and the Navi River Journey.
So all of us have seen it, correct?
Yep.
So, I mean, I saw it in a downpour. I mean, I was pretty amazed by it. I wish I could have seen it when it wasn't pouring rain and miserable, but we did.
That helps.
Yeah, my wife actually went down with her youth and went to it before I got to, which made me kind of mad. So, but she came back like, "Oh, it's so amazing! Oh, you got." I'm like, "Oh, that's great. Good for you." But Flights of Passage. What do you guys think of that ride? Because I mean, that's the showstopper.
Yeah, it's intense for sure. I mean, visually, you're just like, holy cow. It just really does kind of take your breath. But then at the same time, I kind of got motion sickness on it.
I never get motion sick, and I felt kind of weak in the knees after I got off of it too. Yeah.
It could have been the Mora margarita or whatever it was that I had at Pongu.
Well, that'll do it. Yeah.
Ooh, Pongu.
I thought it was incredible, and my wife is really obsessed with it. She, who doesn't like lines, said she would wait in 3-hour line for that ride.
Wow.
It's pretty impressive.
I mean, that's what the skeptics, I've watched some videos on YouTube about it, and they're like, why did they do Avatar? But when they went to it, they said, this is really amazing. They took an IP that was kind of like, and then they made something really over the top. I mean, just phenomenal. And
I thought it was an interesting choice and a good choice for the park to not involve any of the characters or any of the stuff. Like nothing from the actual movie besides like animals and things are there. Like you don't have like the Jake Sully meet and greet or anything like that. Like none of the characters are present at all. And it's all, which I mean, makes sense. Like people, like when the movie came out, people ragged on the movie because the characters and the dialogue and the plot was so unmemorable. But the strongest point was the world of Pandora.
Yeah.
And so what this does is it takes the best part of the movie and makes it the entire experience. It's the world of Pandora, and like all that other stuff is gone. So that was a smart thing.
I'd also read that they originally didn't want to have anything, like even the garbage cans. They did not want to have the traditional Disney garbage can anywhere in the land. Like they wanted everything. They didn't want to have any kind of font, anything that said Disney inside there. They wanted it to be completely immersive, and they had to give way to some areas. But by and large, I mean, I think they still did that. I didn't go around like nitpicking it with a fine tooth comb, but it felt like I didn't see a lot of Disney branding in it.
Right. Well, I mean, you always have to give in a little to reality and just the requirements of running a theme park, but they worked really hard on that, like to the point where like the fast pass or the wristband touch points don't have Mickey on them. Like everywhere else, it's got that Mickey like silhouette, but they don't have them there. They don't really have marquees for the attractions and like really prominent like wait time signs.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah, they had a hard time people finding the lines because they couldn't find like the traditional marquees and stuff that they would.
And even like the cladding of like in the restaurant, like the soda machine, like the cladding of the machine, to look not like just like a regular Coke machine, stuff like that. And they worked really hard on. That's something they did in Galaxy's Edge too, but it really started in earnest here.
I mean, I think the sound that you mentioned is really, really evident. I mean, it's especially at night, they change all the animal effects at night, and it's just really, I mean, that's something Disney did well to begin with, of putting little background music, and even kind of depending on animal noise type stuff, but it is a whole new level here, and you really do feel like immersed in from that alone. I think it's a really impressive thing.
I remember the first time hearing that sort of thing was at Wilderness Lodge in the 90s.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
they were cranking in the cricket sounds and the sounds of the swamp. I always thought that was really cool theming there, but they took it to the next level. I mean, not the next level; they took it 3 or 4 levels ahead.
Yeah, to have like the day-night cycle and to have it, placed where very specifically different animals in different places and how they're affecting the plants around them and things like that. It's pretty wild.
It always made me wonder if it was going to get Jim Cameron like way into doing theme park stuff, but I guess it didn't.
I mean, he was super involved. Like he's super involved in everything.
I'd heard that. Yeah, that he was really. I also wondered how he was like. Was he bothering the Imagineers, or were they? Was there some give and take, or was he like micromanaging everything down to the to the nuts and bolts of it?
I mean, I'm sure there was give and take, but
Titanic Land would be cool.
A Titanic thing would be cool.
I think they have one up in Pigeon Forge, Andy, if you want to check it out. So
You just get on a boat that's sinking.
yeah.
That'd be great.
Just make it a water park. That could be the water park of Jim Cameron World.
And then like none of the
Tasteless.
the two person rafts, there's really only room for one person, although it looks like room for two.
Oh man.
Oh boy. Well, this has been an interesting journey. We've swapped some roles and shifted some of our focuses, but this was Jeff's idea. I'm going to toss it to Jeff to kind of sign us off here and kind of walk us through how we came to where we are today, talking about Avatar.
When Disney Plus started, I thought it was interesting that, Disney had just bought 20th Century Fox, and I expected there to be a ton of Fox stuff on there, but there's really not much on there. And Avatar was clearly like the thing they were pushing. But this one just seems so interesting that it is I'm very interested that Disney owns 20th Century Fox. I'm very interested that Disney owns Avatar and has an Avatar place. Just there's a lot of interesting parallels and conflict. So I thought it'd be interesting to talk about.
I thought it was funny. You talk about conflicts of interest and things like that. I went to pull up just names and just a couple of facts for my little piece about the theme park. I pulled up a bunch of the old park posts that they had on the Disney Parks blog when this was all being announced and kind of being rolled out and promoted. And the comment sections are all pretty funny because there are a lot of concerned moms about this movie with its Rudy Tooty scenes are being brought into the Disney family empire, and a lot of cautious people. One person was very excited that the DVD apparently, or the Blu-ray apparently, has a voice track that takes out all the bad words, which they thought was a nice choice, which I thought, I didn't know that. But a lot of people worried about potential ponytail shenanigans going on in the theme parks.
But then you can also see why it makes sense in another way. I mean, the world of Pandora, as we've said, is just, it does feel like akin to some Disney stuff. The attention.
I'm surprised that they don't have some sort of ponytail souvenir you can buy and you can hot swap it into, vines and other things around.
God
or maybe
forbid.
they're scared they're going to open up a Pandora's box, no pun intended, of problems with people trying.
Totally.
So it's been a fun journey. It's been a big two-parter. We've never done a two-part episode before, so that was big. And it's because it's a big movie. But I've enjoyed it, and thank you, Jeff, for making me watch this again.
You're welcome.
So from all of us here at the Springfield University Film Society, we thank you for listening, and we'll see you real soon.